The Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund has admitted paying $2 million to a South African company for the construction of a sky train in Accra, despite claims by the ministry that the project did not receive requisite procurement approvals. The fund insists it is viable and in the interests of the state.
There was an initial feasibility study that was done by the original consortium to prove the concept of this. They then engaged with the Ministry of Railways and the Government of Ghana, and the Government of Ghana suggested to them that there should be a Ghanaian local partner as part of the consortium, because this project was going to be done in Ghana.
The Lands Ministry has denied contracting land guards to reclaim state lands. The Chief Director of the ministry, appearing before the Public Accounts Committee, revealed that a private company has helped the ministry to retrieve lands for its allied agencies and had been properly compensated.
I can give you a long list of litany of lands that Jado has cleared for us. To the extent that Chairman, to the extent that even the military, even the Ghana Armed Forces, there are lands that have been encroached by people. They hire Jato to reclaim for them. The Ghana police, in particular, Jato reclaims their land.
Government has rescheduled payment to aggrieved national food suppliers of senior high schools. The association has warned it will resume picketing, this time with their families, if government fails to make full payment on the rescheduled date.
Members are languishing in abject poverty. We can no longer accept a meager payment in settlement of the food. We are here to take the full payment, and we are interested in the full payment, without which we will not budge, but we will resume our picketing right after Thursday.
First-year senior high school students continue to wear mufti 2 weeks to end of the second term. This is because the institutional suppliers say they are unable to procure and sew the prescribed uniforms due to the unrealistic rates given them. They have thereby given government a 14-day ultimatum to address their concerns and pay their outstanding arrears.
We have arrears of 2022-2023 academic year, and now we are about to enter into another academic year. Even some members have not been paid in 2021-2022 academic year, which is very bad. All the capitals that they injected in it has depleted, and we really want government to do something about this.
President Akufo-Addo has approved the new salary structure for staff of the Judicial Service effective July 2023. Members of the Judicial Staff Association of Ghana in May this year laid down their tools indefinitely in protest of failure of the government to review salaries and approve new salary structure. After engagement with the Ministry of Finance, JUSAC suspended their strike for further deliberations until their grievances are met. In a press communique signed by JUSAC President Samuel Afote Otu, the group commended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono for a role in getting the president to sign the new salary structure for their members.
Well, you can find more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. Government has announced the second round of the domestic debt exchange program. This one, the focus is on the dollar-denominated bonds, local debt. And you saw what happened in the first round of the domestic debt exchange program and all the issues that came with it. Already, the financial sector, that's the banks, have had a hit. If you check the 2022 financial statement that they published, cumulatively, the banks in this country posted almost $1.4 billion loss. That's about 17 billion CDs thereabout. Now, this is what government is talking about, and that's what is behind me. We'll put it on the screen right now. The maturing dates of outstanding principal amounts. These set of the dollar-denominated bonds is what is up for the second round of the DDEP. It's almost $809 billion. In fact, $809 million. That's what the government has put up for offer, and they say it's voluntary, but the terms in there clearly gives you an idea of what the investors or the holders of these domestic debts are going to have to be dealing with. Now, what is other concerning as well is that, you know what, don't look at all of these. These are the terms that you find in there. It defines this arrangement or this engagement government is giving to these holders of the bonds. The invitation details in 2027, 2028, already they're actually extending the maturities of these particular debts that we're talking about. The time value of money has always been an issue in there, but don't confuse yourself too much with this. Take a look at this. It's not just the dollar-denominated bonds we're talking about. The cocoa bills as well, that cocoa board also issues. The investors in these cocoa bills are also going to have to go through another sort of debt exchange. What you're seeing on the screen is the net present value loss after this whole period or the process is done. Almost a little over 5.5 billion cedis loss is what the holders of these cocoa bills are expected to swallow because of what is going to happen. And they say that they computed this based on the interest on the 182-day treasury bills of 265, which was used as a discount rate. What this one essentially means is that the holders, investors in these cocoa bills, who were expecting their monies within the short dated period of, say, 182 days, will now have to wait for a maximum of about 5 years. And that's between now and that 5-year period, that's the value of the money will erode. What's concerning is that a lot of these dollar-denominated bonds and these cocoa bills, a chunk of it is held by the banks in this country. And if already the first round of the DDEP has seen banks take a hit of almost 17 billion cedis loss, and then this second round as well, they're going to have to swallow all of this. You can imagine how that would also impact on the cost of credit, cost of loans to the private sector and so on. That is even if there's going to be money at all for them to lend to the private sector. So we'll talk about that later. Stay with me. But coming up next here on Ghana Tonight, we get straight into the earlier claim that was put out there for the Lands Ministry coming out to deny contracting land guards to reclaim state lands. The chief director of the ministry appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, revealed that a private company has helped the ministry to retrieve lands for its allied agencies. We have a number of statements that we're going to show to you right now. One from the police service, the Ghana Armed Forces, and the Ministry of Lands itself. They've all issued a statement after Al-Hassan Suhuyini earlier said this to my colleagues in Parliament. Take a look.
All over that land for us. And out of that land, we gave you 50 acres. 50 out of 6,000. 50. So 6,000 acres reclaimed, he gets 15 acres as payment for all his expenses. So he has the right to go and sell that 50. If he's selling it, then there's noise all over the place. Hey, Jatu has, he doesn't even sell it. He also gives it out for people to develop so that he gets his share.
That's the voice of the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry, Professor Patrick Agbesinyali, before Parliament's Committee on Lands and Forestry on July 10, 2023. In the said interaction between the Chief Director and the members of the committee, there were very deep revelations.
And I can give you a long, tall list of litany of lists of lands that Jatu has cleared for us.
So that voice attributed to the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry, we will play the full details of it because the full details of this voice clip gives revelations as to how, according to the Chief Director, the Ghana Armed Forces and the police, they all contract this said person who also gets land guards to retrieve lands for them. But take a look at Alhassan Suheni earlier when he spoke to the pressmen in Parliament, because he's going to be joining us shortly. But this was the claim he put out. Take a look.
Again, scandalous was the revelation by the Chief Director that this person that is engaged actually has a setup that the state cannot compete with. A setup that the state cannot compete with. According to the Chief Director, he has his own media that ensures that whatever he does, rightly or wrongly, is not exposed for public scrutiny. He has his own members of the judiciary, and so he gets away with whatever law he may have broken in the process of retrieving and protecting land. He has his own security that he deploys on these lands when he retrieves them. And at the end of the day, he comes to sit down with the ministry and he informs the ministry of the cost that he has incurred. And the ministry compensates him by dashing out, some parcels of land from the whole that he has helped to retrieve.
After this statement, a number of things have happened. There's a statement that we have a copy of from the Ghana Police Service. They've issued a statement that they don't engage land guards, as earlier claimed by. This statement is not from the MP you just heard, Alhassan Suheni. The Chief Director of the ministry was the one who first made that claim. This is what the police said. Said the administration would like to categorically state that this claim is false, baseless and unfounded, and should be treated with the contempt it deserves. This is the Ghana Police Service statement about this, the allegations or the suggestion that they engage land guards to retrieve lands that the police itself owns. It says the police service has not on any occasion engaged the service of land guards to reclaim or protect its lands. In fact, on the contrary, the service has in recent time intensified its anti-land guard operations in communities affected by the activities of these land guards. And this renewed effort will not stop until the perpetrators of such illegal acts are brought to justice. That's the police statement, right? Let's see what the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources says, because that statement is quite instructive. Take a look at the Lands Ministry statement. This is the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources also putting out their statement. They say that the ministry, what's highlighted there is that the ministry would like to set the record straight that government, and for that matter, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources does not contract the services of land guards in its operations. However, there is a part of the ministry statement that suggests that the ministry through its agency, that's the Lands Commissioner, beg your pardon, legally engaged the services of INOC Holdings Limited, a registered limited liability company, to assist in reclaiming encroached government lands. The engagement has been in effect since 2012. So what they are saying is that it's not land guards, but they engage some INOC Company Limited holdings to retrieve government lands that have been encroached upon. So what's this? Who is this INOC company? Who owns it? What are the terms of engagement with the ministry? And does the Committee on Forestry and Lands know about this set contract between the ministry and this INOC Company Limited? Let's go on to Zoom now. Alhassan Suheni is joining us on Zoom. He is a deputy ranking on the Forestry and Lands Committee of Parliament. First put out this statement as Member of Parliament for the Tamale North constituency. Thank you so much, Suheni, for joining us. So this is the statement, the statements I've just put out there from the Lands Ministry and the police as well. They claim that your claim earlier, which you quoted the Chief Director of the Ministry, is not true.
Alfred, 3 issues. The first question that came to mind after going through the ministry's release was, how do you engage legally a company to provide services that has been outlawed? I'm not a lawyer, but I would like some legal education on how one can engage the services of a company to provide a service that has been outlawed. Because clearly, Alfred, if you look at our laws in this country, specifically, you can refer to Act 999, the Vigilantism and Other Related Offences Act. Section 7(1) is clear that a person shall not directly or indirectly facilitate, organize, or promote the organization of land guards for the purposes of protecting or guarding land or property, whether belonging to that person or any other person. Many other provisions, especially under Section 7, seek to proscribe land guardism. And we all know why it became necessary for this country to outlaw the services of land guards. How can a company be properly registered to provide a service that has been outlawed? How? And the first question, how do you engage legally the services of a company to provide a service that has been outlawed? The second issue, how does a company set up legally to provide a service that has been outlawed? The third issue, which is most significant, Alfred, is the claim in paragraph 3, which is more or less an admission of the fact that the ministry has indeed engaged the services of a land guard, whether a person or an institution. Is the claim that this engagement has been in existence since 2012. This engagement with Enoch Holdings, according to that statement in paragraph 3, has been in existence since 2012. It will shock you, Alfred, to find out that at the Registrar General's Department, Enoch Holdings was only registered in 2014. So, third question, how did the ministry go into a relationship with Enoch Holdings 2 years before it was formed? 2 years before it was formed. I think the ministry must stop clutching on straws. The Ghana Armed Forces has issued a statement to state categorically that it has no dealings whatsoever with any institution or any land guard.
Yeah.
And that the claim of the chief director that even the Ghana Armed Forces and the police deal with this so-called land guard
it's not
false.
true. Yes.
And so if the ministry thought that they were going to use that as justification for their illegality and their promotion of lawlessness, the Ghana Armed Forces is clear in a statement that they do not think that is a legal route, and they have never engaged in the promotion of such lawlessness. Let the ministry also come clear. As a minority group on the committee, we have requested from the ministry the terms and agreement, the terms and conditions of the unholy agreement with this Enoch Holdings Limited or Jato, depending on when it suits the ministry, the name they use. We want to know the conditions that bind that unholy relationship before we even strip it down to its illegality and perhaps forge a way ahead. Personally, as a deputy ranking member of the committee, I have filed an urgent question, and it is my hope that the Speaker will admit it expeditiously for us to get the Minister to brief the House on this, promotion of lawlessness. Clearly, we all have heard horrifying stories of landguards and how that has been a worry to many Ghanaians, especially anyone with the hope of acquiring property. We have heard of people sometimes being buried on lands. And the chief director, actually, before the committee, gave credence to how some of these things happen when he spoke of how the land around the Kimbu Senior High School was retrieved by this gentleman and his cohorts. He makes the point that in the reclamation process, there was exchange of gunfire and 3 people lost their lives. But it did not make it to the headlines because, according to him, the gentleman has a setup made up of media men, members of the judiciary, and others who help him to cover up this dastardly, acts.
Okay, but
and so if we pass laws such as Act 999 to assure all of us that anybody who engages the services of landguards will be subjected to the laws of this country, and the aim of that law or those laws were to sanitize the system so that at least the ordinary man can be rest assured
that at least we can go through the process of getting lands without any landguards harassment. But you mentioned earlier that pay your checks. This said company, INOC, which the ministry statement said has been in engagement, some kind of contract with them since 2012 to help them reclaim encroached government lands, was registered in 2014. No, let's put that part of the statement from the lands ministry, okay, on the screen so that we put what you said in context. It says that this is this part of the statement. It says, however, the ministry through its agency, the Lands Commission, legally engaged the services of INOC Holdings Limited, a registered limited liability company, to assist in reclamation of the encroached government lands. This engagement has been in effect since 2012. Ezwini, you are saying that pay your checks with the register of companies. This company was wholly registered in 2014, not 2012?
Absolutely. It was registered in 2014. 1st September 2014, and commencement of business was to be 2nd September 2014.
I see. So this audio that we've been playing portions of, that captures the chief director of the ministry saying that he knows that the Ghana forces and the police engages landguards to reclaim even their lands. You can confirm the authenticity of the said audio?
Absolutely. That was Professor Patrick. He made the point that in some cases they compensate this gentleman with parcels of land ranging around 50 acres, depending on the amount of land that he helps them to retrieve. 50 acres of land is usually, in some cases, is what the person is entitled to. And he determines the cost that he incurs as a result of the reclamation process. So he deploys, according to the chief director, his security on the said land. He deploys his media to do the necessary cover-ups for him. He uses members of the judiciary at his disposal when there's any legal battle. And he uses the whole setup to ensure that the land is retrieved and protected. And then he now comes to sit with the ministry and negotiates with the ministry and informs them of the cost that he has incurred along the line. And then the ministry determines how to pay or compensate him. In some cases, by awarding to him 50 acres of land.
Now, you know what? The police and the military have all issued statements, disassociating themselves from any engagement with land guards to reclaim their lands, and that they have the capacity to do so. In fact, I've just received a statement as well from the Defense Ministry to this effect. Has the committee, that's your committee, the Forestry and Lands Committee of Parliament, do you have any knowledge of the details of this said arrangement between the Lands Ministry, by extension the Lands Commission, and this INOC Company Limited to help them reclaim encroached government lands? Do you know?
And that is why we have requested the ministry to make that available before we finish with our report. We met to consider a number of reports from the Lands Commission when this matter came out. And so we decided to suspend whatever we're doing in relation to the report until we got the details of the contract that they say they have with this company to perpetuate an illegality. Because clearly, mind you, it is important that we do not lose sight of the fact that land guardism has been outlawed in this country. And it is not for nothing that the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces is the one responsible when it comes to the protection of lands, state lands especially. It is not for nothing that the Constitution confers that right and trusts the state lands, into the hands of the Commander-in-Chief. Because, Commander-in-Chief, the police and the military are at his disposal. And for the ministry to suggest that with all of that, they are still unable to protect the lands that they are supposed to hold in trust on behalf of you and I, and have to engage the services of, an entity that cannot exist by law to provide a service that we all came together to prescribe, is just mind-boggling.
Alhassan Sueni, thank you very much for your time on Ghana Tonight. So you say you've filed an urgent question for the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to come and answer in Parliament, because clearly the issues you raise are concerning enough, to say the least. But this is what the law says, the position of the law on the usage of land guards. Vigilantism and Related Offences Act 2019, Act 999, Clause 75 says a person shall not directly or indirectly engage a land guard to protect or guard the property of that person or any other person. 76 says a person who contravenes subsection 5 commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not less than 10 years and not more than 15 years. Dr. Victor Doke is with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. He's joining us as well. Dr. Doke, thank you so much for joining us. Does it concern you that now we're learning the ministry itself is confirming that they actually contract a private company to help it retrieve encroached government lands? Doc.
Honestly speaking, it's worrying. Now, what are the terms of this private company? Since 2012, that's what we've been told. And how did a private company even come into place? The Lands Commission cannot reclaim lands on its own, but through a private company. And you have the security services who have denied in various forms. Now, Alfred, this only shows you that our institutions are somewhat not efficient in this instance. Because if you're a mandated body overseeing a property and you cannot reclaim, but can only do that through a private company, which you pay huge sums of money to, then I don't think you have been efficient in that aspect. And for the security services, the least said the better. But it poses a lot of questions as to whether we have the right people in place and who are those in management taking decisions on behalf of a government institution. So this calls for a thorough investigation to find out those involved, who are those running these private companies. Other than that, we won't know the actual issue. And we'll just be speculating, allegations will come out, and people would keep denying it. So we need a thorough investigation to this one to understand that why a private company will come into this picture, for what reason, who are those who are involved, how much monies have been paid to them to do what kind of work. Then we can now know those who are involved. Other than that, I don't think we'll get anywhere. And it speaks a lot when it comes to security, our internal security, that it means we are not efficient when it comes to some issues such as this, and it's very worrying. So if you are employing a private company, then anything can happen. You don't know who you are working with. Right. And when you have a government representative saying that they've employed services of supposed landguards, and then later on, they come out to deny it, then the next time, we don't know who they will employ.
Dr. Victor Doke, appreciate your time here on Ghana Tonight. He is with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Stay with us. Go for this quick break. Coming up next, first-year senior high school students continue to wear mufti 2 weeks to the end of the second term. This is because the institutional suppliers say they are unable to procure and sew the prescribed uniforms due to the unrealistic rates given to them. We have updates as well on the food suppliers who were promised their monies today. Have they started receiving the money? The debt owed them 270 million cedis. We have updates on that right after this quick break. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
What does winning mean to you? For Yao, it's seeing the joy in his mother's eyes after he provided her with a state-of-the-art kitchen to cook her signature Unapo Jollof.
It's a mega win.
For Ajua, it's turning her passion for photography into a successful career while providing her children with the best education possible.
It's a mega win.
For Kwame, it's becoming his own boss and starting his music business.
It's a mega win.
Whatever winning means to you, Mega 6 Lotto can help you achieve it in grand style. With only 49 numbers to choose from, the odds are always in your favor. Play with as little as 2 Ghana cedis for a chance to win millions of cedis every week. Download our Android and iOS apps. Dial *266# or visit mega6lotto.com to make a mega impact on your life and the lives of others. Mega 6 Lotto. Mega winnings, mega impact. The Mega 6 Lotto is regulated and monitored by the NLA.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period na se problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na me kwan point no mo hwe me modem no mo hwe bibia na so mo medu a me fire no ene ma won kra me enu kofro kwa na mkwan mu a eba.
And everything yourself.
Me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante and then they call endpoint. Omama nura, and then the white dear, what's me sorry ananti.
That's endpoint for you. Hello. Hey, what chair? Okay. A free bra with the endpoint, what does it? I'm a choir, no. Me Joseph Samane Quay, and person of my embryo, and imagine Sabema. Now, let me be here for the hard in Jarissa. You heard everything. I have secret. Endpoint is my secret. Endpoint homeopathic clinic. I'm free.
Ghana for your friend in Nadede. Semijina ha na eye Franco television papa a dia bega so no na me gusu a me di ho dance e chiro so we see hotels, offices, schools, apartments eye Franco television ababawa abrantie ope TV di abawo dem a ye wo sizes bebre wo ho ye wo 24 inches wo ho ye wo 32 wo ho ye wo 43 wo ho ye wo 55 and akese 65 inches. Now Franco Trading Enterprise a television papa and the border from a him.
Kitchen Wars.
The most anticipated cooking reality show is making its return to your screen. It is Kitchen Wars Season 2. Old school alumni get ready to compete for yet another epic showdown. Which alumni will take over from WAS?
The school that came in first place, West Africa.
Get your ladles out, sharpen your knives, and be ready to battle it out. Interested alumni must be in a group of 6 to participate. Simply send your details 0531 906 281 to register and stand the chance of being the best alumni in the kitchen. It's Kitchen Wars Season 2. Kitchen Wars, your school feed cook.
Kitchen Wars, coming soon on TV3.
Brought to you by Gino Tomato Mix.
And Napa Foods, say Napa, Enye Ono Soko.
We are at that time of the year, and the much anticipated trade and exhibition fair is here. It's the Western Trade Fair, the August 2023 edition. It will be massive and engaging. Companies, small and medium scale enterprises, join the fair. Let's network and grow our business together. Date Sunday 30th July to Sunday 6th August 2023. Time 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. each day. Venue the Takra Demo. Activities include seminar, live band, gospel show, fashion night, and many more. The general public is invited. Entry and admission is absolutely free. For sponsorship, booking, and inquiries, kindly call or WhatsApp 0245 787 886, 0244 244 027, 0243 438 251. Partner Takrade Mall. The Western Trade Fair is powered by Connect 97.1 FM. Connect Western Trade Fair. Egwedifu one bronya.
Welcome back to Ghana Tonight. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. First year senior high school students continue to wear mufti 2 weeks to the end of the second term. Now, this is because the institutional suppliers of uniforms say they are unable to procure and sew the prescribed uniforms due to the increasing cost of the materials, and government is also not willing to increase the allocation to them. So they can't sew for these senior high school students. They've given a 14-day ultimatum to government to actually pay them their outstanding arrears. Take a look.
Ideally, the prescribed uniforms should have been ready 2 weeks into the first term, but heads of senior high schools and colleges of education are yet to receive their consignments from the institutional suppliers made up of garment producers, fashion designers, seamstresses, tailors, stationery dealers.
Formerly, it was 2 knickers, 2 shirts for the school uniform. Now, government is saying we should sew 1 knicker, 1 trouser, then 2 uniforms. The same price. We think that this one cannot be done. It is highly impossible under this current economic situation. So they should give us 150 cedis for a set. I think it will be cool with us and we can actually work on time. The first is, as we speak, they are in their second term, but they don't have uniforms. So as a matter of urgency, something should be done.
A number of parents actually have sent us, since we advertised earlier in the day that we're going to talk about it, sent us notices that you have your wards wearing the mufti for the period that they've been in school. And this is the reason why. Now, this was a situation as well in the Binduri Senior High School. That was temporarily shut down because they were being fed a particular kind of meal. They were eating banku throughout the 2 weeks. They didn't like it, and so they complained. But the uniforms issue was also one of the things that the students complained about. Take a look.
I'm attending Binduru Senior High School. My concern is that since we came here, we are no more needles again. We want our uniform, no toilet for us. Anytime we want to go to school, we always go to the bush. Whatever, if something happens to us, what would they say? But if there is no uniform, there is no uniform.
They are providing them food 2 times, even 3 times a day. But here, only once, even though we cook without salt. Oil, we will not get. Only banku throughout the week. We will not get anything. We are here suffering every day. What is wrong with us?
Don't cry.
Even look at you have been wearing this thing. Yes. You are wearing this thing. You don't have Friday well. You know outing. We don't have outing. Look at green check. These people are wearing green check. So when they come, they have to get what? They have to get their.
So there you have it. Let's go on to the telephone now. Tahir Amoa is the secretary of the Association of Institutional Suppliers. In fact, he's joined us on Zoom, but the Zoom connection, I understand, is not too clear. So we'll deal with the voice on this. They are the ones who have been contracted by government to sew uniforms for the students under the free senior high school policy, right? And then also Koko Amedume. He is the spokesperson for the Food Suppliers Association of Ghana. They picketed at the premises of the Food Buffer Stock Company about 2 weeks ago. He's joining us in the studio. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Let me start off with you. Tahir Amoa, how much are you paid for sewing a set of uniforms under the free senior high school policy?
For now, we are being paid 60 Ghana cedis for one set of uniform. Your material and everything.
So I didn't get that, but how long has this contract between government and yourself been? And let's establish exactly what amount it is. Zama.
We are the local suppliers. We supply for the schools since senior high school started. Way back like 20 years, 30 years supplying. Okay. So when the free senior high came in, now government will now pay us for the uniforms when we supply. That's 2017 when it started. And 2016 price was increased from 45 to 50 for the uniforms. That price was maintained from 2017 2021. Barely 5 years, there was no increase. There was no increase. Despite dollar rate and other things going up, there was no increase. We talked and appealed to them severally. Then a minimum amount was put on uniform. That is from 50 Ghana to 60 Ghana cedis. That was 2021. Okay. And when they made an increment, again, they asked us to sew 1 tra, 1 knicker, and 2 shirts for 120 cedis. Meaning the increment has been taking care of the trouser, so there's no increment.
I see. So you're giving 120 cedis to sew 1 shorts, 1 trousers, and 2 shirts for the students. But are you owed any money by government for any academic period?
Yeah, year 2022, they spent only 20% of the whole supplies made to the ministries, only 20%. So from batch 6 to 14, they've not paid. That's 14 batches they've not paid.
So the whole of
1 year now.
So the whole of 2022, they paid just 20% of the amount they should have paid you, and that's what you are owed. So how much are you asking for now?
You see, how they are paying, we cannot even see the amount owed now, because they will take batch 1, maybe they will pay some few suppliers, then they will stop. Another month, they'll pay some 3, 4, then they'll stop. So we can't know the actual, but in total, they paid only 20% of the whole supplies made under 2022 academic year.
I see. Now, Koko, you picketed at the food buffer stock company 2 weeks ago. You were promised that payment will start when?
Today, 17th.
Today?
We promised, yes.
Have you started receiving your money?
No, we haven't received anything.
The food supplies?
We haven't received anything. We're told that the assurance was given on Friday last week that we're going to be paid today. In fact, that Friday wasn't an assurance. It was reaffirmation of the earlier promise. Actually, we wanted to be sure when we went to Minister of Food and Agriculture to be sure whether, in fact, the promise he earlier gave that on 17th, which is today, is going to effect payment. And on that day, he gave assurance that he's going to, nothing will fail today. So today, we should inform all our members to convey and take their money. And so we did so. We invited our members across the regions, and they started coming today. Some came from Upper West, some came from Bolga, some came from Boku, some came from Brong-Ahafo region and Western region to demand for their money. And we were told after long hours of waiting for money to be paid that money had not been released to Buffer Stock. That is according to the Chief Executive Officer of Buffer Stock Company. And so we're not happy with that response. So we proceeded to the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Honorable Brian Achampon. So it was there and then he told us that money had been paid to Buffer Stock to give us. And so, except that the money didn't get to Buffer Stock on time, and we should give 2 or 3 more days for that processes to come to fruition. And so we've given up to Thursday again to wait.
So you've been up until Thursday?
Yes, up to Thursday.
I see. But these were the claims that the ministry, the education minister made. Okay, so you're demanding full payment of the debt owed you, 270 million.
Exactly. And
that's what you want, no part payment.
No part.
I recall there was an earlier proposal for part payment away.
That's what we were told, and it's not the education minister, it's the Minister of Food and Agriculture who gave the assurance that we're going to be paid today on Friday. It was on Friday he told us that he is going to personally make sure that we are paid on Monday today. In fact, he made us to abandon our picketing with the promise that we're going to be paid on Friday.
But you said the education minister is claiming that a total of 418 million cedis was released to the food buffer stock company.
Exactly, from the time
2021, 2022,
2023, yes.
2023.
Yes.
And based on his records, the balance that government owes you is 35 million.
Exactly. As at 2023, the balance was left with only 10%, which I guess represented 35 million Ghana cedis.
But you haven't received any money?
We did not receive any money. It is now that government had said that they have released some money today. So we're waiting to see how much has been released for our members.
I see. So you're waiting till Thursday?
We're waiting till Thursday to see if government would effect its own promise. But failure of which we would have no other option but to resume the picketing. We will resume the picketing because of the trust, the broken trust we have had with government. At this time round, government made us to again invite members across the region. They are here. They are here now. Some are on their way coming. They'll be arriving tonight. They'll be sleeping at hotels. They're no longer. We're not picketing. It will be at their own cost. And I think this thing could have been avoided, knowing that the promise given Friday was not going to be fulfilled. They shouldn't have allowed us to invite members all over again this morning to be waiting for long hours before we are told we're not going to be paid today. It's quite frustrating trying to retrieve this money. That's why we don't want to settle for half payment. We don't want to go through this horrifying and terrifying moment of trying to take our money from government. And that's why we accept it. We are not accepting anything less than the full payment.
Well, let me go back on Zoom. Tariama, so how much are you also asking from government now? Because you're saying the 120 cedis to sew 2 shirts, 1 shorts, 1 trousers is not enough. So what's your proposal?
But whenever we meet him concerning this assigned debt, what he will say, what they will say, we will pay you very soon. They will start paying, okay, but as soon as we relax, the payment will stop. It will take months before they start paying again, and it's coming in bits. That is very bad. That is very bad. So we want them to clear us that debt and look at the price for us, so we can work again. Because we are helping make the senior high a reality and making it possible. Because they can't go to school without uniform and without food.
Okay.
And we pre-finance this work before they will pay us.
Well, thank you, Tahirama. It's also the same with you, right? You pre-finance the food.
Yes, that has been the norm until recently. Okay. As we speak, recently monies are advanced to the new team members now to go and procure the produce, to go and procure the foodstuffs. They are no longer doing a pre-financing. And that's the main reason why we feel more agitated, because this new crop of suppliers now enjoy money. They are giving free money, not free money, they are giving money, which makes their work very easier than ours. Ours has been locked up, our capital has been locked up, and government has not demonstrated good faith in dealing with us, especially this last moment. And what broke the camel's back is today's disappointment. Disappointment at the back of no communication as to the apparent inability to pay government today. The government could have come forward with communication. The government has contact with the suppliers. They could have communicated earlier that the payment is not happening today. Okay. For us to also avoid all this cost and this embarrassment, having our members all over Accra again, having them to pay their own bills, they're staying overnight till Thursday. That is so frustrating. And that's why we're not accepting half payment of our money.
Koko, thank you for coming. I've just received a message from the Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Dr. Clement Tapak. He says the Ministers of Education, Agriculture and Finance are expected to appear before Parliament tomorrow in relation to your matter. So the three ministers are expected to appear before Parliament tomorrow, Education, Finance and the Agric Ministry. So it's good that we're getting the development that you have not been paid. Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Since we are, if you can give me 2 minutes.
No, this is 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds. Since we are having Mr. Honorable Apak listening to us, and they're having the three ministers, we would like to use this platform to appeal to them that we are asking for the full settlement, because half settlement will not solve our problem for us.
Goku, thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up next, the government has announced that it is inviting eligible holders to exchange approximately almost a little over $808 million of its US dollar denominated domestic notes and bonds for a package of new bonds to be issued by the Republic. Professor John Gachi is the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business Schools, joining us on Zoom. Professor Gachi, thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Now, the specific concern about this second round of DDEP is the impact that is going to have. What's your own assessment of how both the holders of the dollar-denominated bonds and then also the cocoa bills are going to have to take the pinch?
Yeah, as I explained earlier on, the deal is between investors and the government, and for that matter, Cocoa Board. And so if there's any loss in the deal, that loss is being affected by the investors. So it's the investors who are losing. And, you know, this thing that is what we call a zero-sum game. The quantum of loss is equal to the quantum of gain by the government. So the amount of money that the government is gaining is the amount of money that the investors are losing. So that will have effect on the investors, especially being banks and other corporate entities. They invest in order to shore up their profit positions, etc. So their profit position will not be met, and other things that they needed this money to do will not be done. So that is simple how it is.
Essentially, but that's the time value of money lost, is it not?
Money is in question. All these things are put together. That's why we are saying that they are going to lose. Because if your money is supposed to pay to you in the short term, but it's going to be paid to you in a very long term, definitely the time value of money is a concern. So I keep explaining that the deal is structured between the bond issuer and the holder. And the holder, we are concerned about the holder because the holder is a financial institution, such as banks, etc. We believe that they have invested this money in order to gain, to show up their position as a bank. And for now, that will not be available to them. And then even the structuring of the new bond shows that if government has some difficulty to repay, it will come back to prolong the maturity date further. So these are a risky situation. It should have been even more certain if we don't have the opportunity by government to review the structure.
I see, but you see, the other bigger issue for me, Professor Gachi, if you are aligned, is how this whole second round of DDP and the cocoa bills is going to impact the financial sector, is it not? Especially because the banks, we understand, are the holders of the majority of the cocoa bills, which we understand the net present value loss of over 5.5 billion is going to be recorded.
Left to me alone, you should allow the banks to talk. You see, in all these discussions, the banks are not talking. So they go behind the doors, they are engaged, and that is the end of the story. And then we keep talking. But the point that the thing is hitting their books. So if they don't want to talk, and they like what the regulator is doing to them, they like what the government is doing to them, then they should carry it. You see? You know, just after the debt exchange program, you heard what the banks were saying. Association of Bankers, they say we have liquidity, we have citizens, there's no challenge, etc. So if they like what is going on in the banking sector, they should continue to appreciate it. I don't think we should continue to be talking for them when they are not willing to talk as if they like what is going on. Because if somebody has taken a decision that erode your cash flow, that erode your soundness, and the person claimed that he put in a 15 billion stability fund, which is even below how much totally is being lost. Of course, we do agree that some banks will not go there for that fund. And even the fund is not set up. That tells you what is going on. So the trick that is going on between the banks, the regulator, and the government, I think they know.
Professor John Gachi, appreciate your time on Ghana Tonight. Thank you. He's the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School. On behalf of the rest of the team, I want to say thank you so much for staying with us. Join us same time tomorrow for another conversation. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.